Hey folks, Shadeslay here with this week's pick of new iOS games. It's a little later than usual, that's because, although there were loads of new releases, a lot of them didn't make the grade. As ever, I've spent hours playing a selection of the best and worst that the week has to offer, starting with the delightful point-and-click adventure game, Botanicula from Amanita Design. First released for PC in April 2012, the nature-themed game follows the adventure of 5 botanical creatures who are trying to save the last seed of their home tree from an infestation of evil parasitic creatures. As you lead your band of critters through 150 beautifully designed levels, you'll collect items, solve puzzles, and use the unique abilities of your characters to overcome obstacles. I'm only a little way in, but I can tell you that this is well worth checking out. The graphics are gorgeous. They've nailed the award-winning soundtrack, and whilst it doesn't appear to be hugely challenging, it's all about the journey, much like the recent Monument Valley. Complete with charming comedy and packed full of hidden surprises, Botanicula seems to offer something for everyone. It's currently available for iPad, priced at £2.99 or $4.99, and we're hopeful of an adapted version for iPhone soon. Moving on to another game that I featured in last week's upcoming section, Dwarven Den from Backflip Studios is out now. Along the lines of last week's Third Eye Crime and the previous week's Hitman Go, this is a strategy puzzle game which requires you to move your character through each level towards some objective, avoiding obstacles and encounters on the way. But unlike the aforementioned titles, Dwarven Den feels strangely unsatisfying. Each level is an underground maze through which your dwarf must dig and bomb his way to mine gold, recover lost artifacts, or rescue his trapped companions. Different types of block require different amounts of energy to mine, and if your dwarf ever reaches 0, he topples over from exhaustion, requiring you to restart the level. You'll need to dig carefully to avoid a cave-in, and avoid monsters if you want to survive. On the way, you'll collect items from chests, which can then be fused together at the forge to create more powerful items with bigger bonuses. It sounds great, but my biggest concern with Dwarven Den is that it's largely an exercise in trial and error, and it's weighted towards failure. The fog of war, which prevents you from seeing more than a few blocks ahead, significantly reduces your strategic options. On top of this, you only have 3 lives before the cooldown timer sets in, meaning you don't have a lot of scope to experiment and restart if you make a mistake. The solution is to replay earlier levels and further upgrade your gear, but this grinding serves no other purpose than to further upgrade your items and quickly becomes tedious. I'll move on before this turns into a fully blown review, but needless to say, Dwarven Den hasn't made a big impact. That said, it's free to play and out now, so you have nothing to lose if you want to check it out for yourself. Next up, another free-to-play game, and perhaps the biggest surprise of the week. Tales of Honor, the Secret Fleet from Evergreen Studios, is a space combat sim that was quite low down my list. At a glance, it seemed like a free-to-play faster-than-light clone. In reality, I couldn't have been more wrong. Tales of Honor is an intense combat strategy game that puts you in the captain's seat. Set in the Honorverse, the game is modelled on the sci-fi Honor Harrington books by David Weber and sits alongside a comic book series and currently in production feature film. Gameplay sees you moving through a series of frantic ship-to-ship battles, upgrading your ship's weapons and defensive systems as you progress. The focus is almost exclusively on combat, and whilst there is more than the passing nod to faster-than-light's combat mechanics, there's plenty that sets the two games apart. As a free-to-play game, I was naturally worried about timers. They do exist, but I've managed to put in a couple of hours of simultaneous gameplay without them holding me back, so don't let that put you off. The developer have said that they consciously tried to avoid a pay-to-win situation, and whilst this results in some inevitable grinding for resources, the fast-paced battles have managed to hold my attention so far. Whether this alone is enough to hold attention in the longer term, I'm not sure. I'm hoping for a PvP mode, and perhaps a little more variation to ship specifications in future updates. As it stands though, Tales of Honor has exceeded my expectations and is well worth a look. The only real negative I've found is that it seems to require a data connection to play. It's available now for iOS, with an Android version to follow. Our final new release this week is the second episode for award-winning stealth action game Republique by Camouflage. In episode 2, Metamorphosis, you continue to assist Hope as she outwits the Prizrak and seeks out the librarian. If you haven't yet played Episode 1, that probably means absolutely nothing to you, in which case I strongly recommend you head over to the App Store and grab it now. For the uninitiated, rather than a top-down, first-person or over-the-shoulder perspective, you view the rich environments through the lens of strategically scattered surveillance cameras. You'll need to carefully plot the patrol routes of guards and direct Hope from cover to cover in order to reach her next objective. Acknowledging your presence, Hope frequently speaks directly to you. Republique doesn't just break the fourth wall, it takes a wrecking ball to it. The new episode features stunning new locations which fully show off the capabilities of the newest mobile devices, as well as new puzzles, special abilities, and randomised guards which adds a survival horror feel to the game. As with Episode 1, there are dozens of interactive points of interest scattered throughout the levels, offering snippets of the intriguing backstory. This is a must-have game, remarkable not least because it's one of a few premium titles developed originally for mobile, rather than ported from PC. You can get Episode 1 from the App Store for £1.99 or $2.99. Episode 2 is then available through in-app purchase for an additional £2.99 or $4.99 in the US, although there is a discounted season pass which covers episodes 2 to 5 and unlocks the fascinating fly-on-the-wall developer diaries. And that's it for new releases. I think I'm going to leave it there for this week. There are a few minor updates, but nothing hugely exciting, and there's not a lot on the upcoming radar either. With E3, the annual Electronic Entertainment Expo coming soon, this is no doubt the quiet before the storm, and we can expect plenty of big announcements as that approaches and gets underway. As always, you can stay up to date with the latest mobile gaming news and reviews at www.gamermob.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at ShadeslayPlays for my take on anything and everything related to mobile gaming. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified when I add new content, and feel free to leave a comment if you have something to say about any of the games I've featured today. I'll be back at the same time, same place next week. Until then, I've been Shadeslay. Bye for now.